The alien commander stood on the high platform looking down at the battlefield. He was called Commander Vorel. His skin was dark blue, and his eyes were bright yellow. He had fought many wars. He had seen many enemies. But today felt different. Thousands of human soldiers were standing in perfect lines. They wore black armor and dark helmets that hid their faces. No one moved. No one spoke. Their weapons were ready, but they did not lift them. Commander Vorel turned to his second officer, a young alien named Kesso. "Why are they not moving?" Vorel asked. "I do not know, Commander," Kesso said. His voice shook a little. "Our scouts say they arrived 2 hours ago." They formed their lines and stopped. Vorel felt a cold feeling in his chest. He did not like this. Usually when humans attacked, they shouted and fired their guns. They charged with loud voices, but today they were silent. The commander opened a secure channel to the observation drones above. The drones flew in circles over the humans, watching everything. The camera feeds showed the same thing: rows of still, silent soldiers. One drone zoomed in on a human's faceplate. The dark glass reflected the sky. No eyes could be seen, just emptiness. Vorel swallowed. "Send a message," he ordered.
Ask
them to state their purpose. Kesso nodded and sent the message. They waited for a reply. 1 minute passed. Minutes. 5 minutes. Nothing came back. "They are ignoring us," Kesso whispered. Vorel clenched his jaw. "Prepare all weapons," he said. "I want artillery ready. I want air support above us." "Yes, Commander." Across the field, the humans did not react. Even when alien tanks moved into position, the humans stayed still. An old story came to Vorel's mind. When he was a child, he had read about the silent protocol. It was a tactic humans used only when they wanted complete victory, it was said. That when humans went silent, they became something else, something even more dangerous. But he had never believed that story. It sounded like a legend, a tale to frighten young soldiers. Now, he was not so sure. He turned back to the drone feed. The humans still watched, unmoving. "Kesso," he said slowly, "I want a scout. Someone brave. They will approach the humans. They will see what happens." Kesso looked pale, but he nodded and called for a scout. Soon, a small figure in light armor stepped forward. Her name was Tella. She was young, but she had never failed a mission. "You called me Commander?" Tella asked. "Yes. You will go forward. Approach the humans. Do not provoke them. Just observe." Tella took a deep breath. Understood. She walked across the field alone. Her steps were loud in the quiet air. Every alien soldier watched her. They all held their breath. She stopped about 10 meters from the first human line. The humans did not move. Tella lifted her scanner and aimed it at them. The machine beeped softly. "No energy buildup," she reported. "No weapons charging." Vorel pressed his come button. "Can you see their faces?" "No, Commander," Tella said. "Their visors are black." She took one more step. Still nothing. Then she did something brave and foolish. She raised her hand in a peaceful gesture. The nearest human tilted. His helmet slightly. Just a tiny movement. But it was enough to freeze everyone's blood. "All units," Vorel shouted. "Ready weapons." But before anyone could fire, something changed. The human soldier lifted his hand slowly. Every human on the field copied the movement. All at the same time, the silent wave of hands rose into the air. It looked almost like a salute or a signal. Gasped and stepped back. "Commander?" she whispered. "I think they're about to." She never finished her sentence. The humans dropped their hands in perfect unison. Then they began to march forward. No words, no shouts, no sound but their boots on the dirt. The sight made Vorel's heart pound. It was worse than any battle cry. "Kesso," he said, voice tight, "send a full alert. Tell every unit, the silent protocol has begun." All around the alien lines, alarms started to ring. Weapons powered up. Shields activated. But inside, Commander Vorel knew something terrible. He knew this was the day he would learn if the old stories were true. And as the humans came closer, he felt a single thought echo in his mind. When humans go silent, nothing survives. The sky over the battlefield turned dark as storm clouds moved in. Rain began to fall, cold and heavy. But the humans did not stop. They marched forward in total silence. Their boots hit the wet ground altogether, step after step. It sounded like a slow drum beating. Commander Vorel stood on the command platform watching. His hands were tight fists. "Kesso," he said, "are the guns ready?" "Yes, Commander," Kesso said quickly. "All cannons are aimed. All soldiers are in position." "Then fire at will," Vorel ordered. A moment later, the ground shook with the power of heavy weapons. Blue beams and red plasma bolts shot across the field. Explosions lit up the darkness. Smoke rose in thick clouds. But when the smoke cleared, Vorel felt his stomach twist. The human soldiers were still coming. They had moved in perfect unison, stepping left and right at the same time, avoiding most of the blasts. A few bodies lay on the ground, but not many. No screams. No cries of pain. Just silence. A young alien soldier looked up at the commander with wide eyes. "How can they do that?" Vorel did not answer. He had no words. One of the humans lifted. A hand again. A signal. Suddenly, the first row of humans broke into a run. Faster and faster, they charged. Still no shouting. "No orders. They are attacking," Kesso shouted. "All troops hold the line," Vorel yelled. The aliens fired everything they had. Cannons, rifles, grenades. The humans did not slow down. They moved like they had practiced this 1,000 times. One human soldier reached the first alien trench and jumped inside. His blade flashed, cutting through armor in one strike. Another human followed. And another. They fought together without words, as if they shared one mind. An alien officer tried to raise his pistol. A human grabbed his wrist and twisted it until the bone cracked. The officer fell with a sharp cry. Across the trenches, more humans dropped down silently. Every movement was precise. Every strike was clean. A group of alien soldiers tried to retreat. They ran back toward the command center. But the humans were faster. One by one, they fell. Kesso looked at the commander, fear in his eyes. "This is not war," he said. "This is execution." Vorel swallowed hard. He remembered again the old stories, how the silent protocol was. Used only when humans wanted no survivors. Another explosion rocked the ground. Sparks rained from a damaged power relay. Vorel turned to his communications officer. "Send out an emergency call. All ships in orbit must know. All outposts must be warned." The officer tried to send the signal, but the screen flashed red. "Jamming," he said in a shaky voice. "They are blocking all channels." Vorel's mind raced. The humans were not only fighting, they were cutting off every way to call for help. He looked out across the field. In the dim light and falling rain, he could see them moving forward step by step. Still no voices. Then he noticed something even more terrifying. Each time a human squad passed a burning trench, they marked the wall with a bright red symbol. A single line, crossed by another. Vorel did not know what it meant, but it felt like a warning. He turned to Kesso. "Do you see that mark?" Kesso nodded. "Yes, Commander. What does it mean?" Kesso's face was pale. "I think it means this area is cleared." The humans were taking the field section by section. Nothing left behind. In the rain, the humans kept advancing. Their black armor shone with water and blood. Every alien who watched felt the same cold truth. This was not just an attack, it was a method. It was a promise. And as the humans climbed out of the trenches and started walking toward the main defense, while Commander Vorel knew one thing with perfect clarity: they will not stop until we are gone. Commander Vorel stood behind the main defense wall. The rain poured harder now, making rivers across the metal floor. He stared at the screens that showed the battlefield. The human soldiers were moving through the trenches, clearing them one by one. Their black armor looked like shadows in the night. No voices, no commands. Just cold, silent work. Vorel turned to Kesso. His voice was low. "Do you know the old stories?" Kesso looked up, confused. Stories, Commander? Voral nodded slowly. About the silent protocol? Kesso swallowed. I heard some tales when I was young, but I thought they were myths. They are not myths, Voral said. His eyes were dark. My father fought in the Third Expansion War. He saw the humans use this tactic. He said it was the worst thing he ever survived. Kesso listened, his hands shaking. Voral continued, voice heavy. When humans go silent, they become more than soldiers. They become one mind. No confusion, no hesitation. Every step is part of a single plan. Kesso whispered. How can they do it? No one knows, Voral said. Some say they have neural links in their helmets. Some say they train. From birth to think as a group. A loud boom shook the wall. Dust fell from the ceiling. They call it the silent protocol because there are no transmissions, no signals we can detect. All our scanners see nothing. But somehow, they know exactly what to do. Looked back at the screens, the old records. Said only 3 human fleets ever used this protocol. Every time they destroyed their enemies completely. Kesso felt dread in his chest. Then why are they using it now? Voral was silent for a moment, then he spoke. Because they want this planet, and they will not accept surrender. Another officer called out from the console. Commander. They have reached the second defense line. Voral moved quickly to the main control panel. He watched as the cameras showed human squads cutting through the fences with plasma tools. The aliens behind the second line were firing in panic. Some tried to run, but the humans were too fast. Too precise. Voral gripped the edge of the console. Order all units to fall back to the command center. We cannot hold the outer defenses. Kesso sent the command. All around, alien soldiers began to retreat deeper into the base. Some fired over their shoulders as they ran. On the screens, Voral saw a human engineer place a small device on the defense wall. It looked like a metal box with blinking lights. Zoom in, Voral ordered. The camera focused on the device. It was marked with a red symbol, the same crossed lines the humans had painted everywhere. What is that? Kesso asked. Voral shook. His head? I don't know. But if it's part of the protocol, it will be something terrible. Suddenly, the device sent out a bright flash. The screen went black. All cameras offline. The officer shouted. Voral closed his eyes for a moment. The silent protocol was working exactly as the stories described. No communication, no warning, no chance to counterattack. He opened his eyes again. His voice was cold and hard. Seal the inner gates, he commanded. Prepare the last defense squads. This will be where we make our stand. Kesso nodded, his face pale. Commander, you think we can survive this? Voral looked at him. Rain dripped from his helmet onto the floor. Survive, he repeated. No, but maybe we can slow them down. Another alarm began to sound, deep rolling tone that meant the humans had breached the final perimeter. Voral placed a hand on the console, felt the metal shaking. He knew what came next. The humans would enter the heart of the base, and there they would finish their work in silence. The alarms were loud now. Red lights flashed across every hallway in the alien base. Soldiers ran to their positions. Some carried rifles. Some carried heavy shields. All of them were afraid, Commander. Voral stood in the command center. He watched the main door on the screen. It was the last barrier between the humans and the core of the base. They are coming, Kesso said, his voice thin. Voral nodded. They will not stop. He turned to his officers. This is our last chance. We hold this position, or we lose. Everything. Outside the door, the camera showed shadows moving closer. Silent shapes in black armor. No sound, no. Battle cries. One alien soldier gripped his weapon so hard his claws turned white. Why don't they speak? He whispered. Why don't they say anything? Voral looked at him. Because this is how they win. Fear is their first weapon. The humans reached the door. For a moment, everything was still. Rain dripped from their armor onto the floor. Then one of them stepped forward. He placed another small device on the door, began to blink with a soft blue light. Brace for breach, Voral shouted. All soldiers raised their weapons. Air felt too heavy. To breathe, The device flashed once into the door, simply fell open. It did not explode, did not burn. It just dropped, as if it had never been locked at all, and the humans walked through. They came in rows, silent and calm. They did not hurry. They did not look afraid. The aliens opened fire. Bright beams of energy filled the room. The noise was deafening, but the humans moved in perfect patterns. Some stepped left, some knelt to return fire. Some raised shields to block the attacks. It looked like a dance cold mechanical. Unstoppable, an alien sniper on the balcony aimed at the front human soldier. He took a deep breath and pulled the trigger. The shot hit the human's shoulder. Sparks flew. The human fell to one knee, but he did not cry out. Before the sniper could fire again, another human turned and shot him cleanly through the visor. The sniper fell without a sound. Voral's heart pounded. He had fought many battles, but never like this. Kesso, he called. Bring up all reserve units. We have no reserves left, Kesso whispered. The humans kept advancing. They stepped over fallen bodies, never breaking formation. A squad of alien guards charged them with plasma blades, screaming in desperation. For a moment, it looked like they might break the human line, but then the humans split into two columns. They moved aside just enough to avoid the charge. The alien guards ran straight into waiting blades. One by one they fell. Voral felt sweat on his face. His hands were shaking. Pull back to the control room, he ordered. The remaining aliens began to fall back, firing as they retreated. Sparks and smoke filled the air. Voral stayed at the door until the last soldier had passed. He looked back one final time. The humans were marking the walls again, the same red-crossed lines. They were claiming the territory piece by piece. Voral closed the door behind him and sealed it. He turned to Kesso. How long can this door hold? Kesso checked the controls. 5 minutes. Maybe less. Voral took a deep breath. He knew there was no escape. This is our stand, he said. We will fight here. We'll make them pay for every step. Kesso nodded. His eyes were wet, but his voice was steady. Yes, Commander. Voral looked around at the tired, frightened faces of his soldiers. He knew they were thinking the same thing he was. Why did the humans choose silence? Why did they come for us? But there were no answers. Only the sound of footsteps coming closer, and the cold, perfect silence of the enemy. The last door shook under the force of human weapons. Sparks flew as they cut through the metal. Commander Voral stood in the center of the control room. He felt the floor vibrating under his boots. Status, he called out. Kesso checked the readings. His voice was tight. Door integrity at 20%. They will be through in less than 2 minutes. Voral looked at the screens. Most cameras were offline, but one still worked. It showed the humans moving steadily down the main hallway. In their hands, some of them carried long cases marked with red symbols. What are those? Voral asked, pointing at the screen. Kesso zoomed in. The cases were made of dark metal with locks and warning lights. I don't know, Kesso whispered. One of the human soldiers stopped. He set the case down gently on the floor and pressed a hidden switch. The locks clicked open. The case unfolded like a metal flower. Inside was a strange machine. It was black and smooth, with a single red light blinking in the center. Voral felt a cold chill run through his body. It's a device, he said slowly. Some kind of weapon. The human soldier connected cables from the device to a panel. On the wall, the red light changed to blue. Commander Kesso said, They are interfacing with our systems. Shut down all network connections, Voral ordered. Kesso tried, but the controls were frozen. I can't. They've locked us out. The humans outside the door worked in silence, setting more devices in place. One of the soldiers turned to look at the camera. His dark visor reflected nothing. No eyes. No emotion. Then the camera feed went dead. A voice broke the silence in the control room. It was soft, mechanical, and coming from the speakers on the wall. This facility is now under human control. Every alien turned to look at the speakers. Voral took a step forward, "Who is this?" he demanded. The voice spoke again, calm and cold. "Your resistance is noted. It will end shortly." The door groaned as the humans cut deeper. The metal glowed orange. "What does the device do?" Kesso asked, voice shaking. Vorel clenched his fists. "I don't know, but I won't wait to find out." He turned to his soldiers. "Prepare all weapons. The moment they breach, we fire." "Everything," the soldiers nodded. They lifted rifles and aimed at the door. Kesso moved closer to Vorel. "Commander, this is the end." Vorel looked at him, and for a moment, the commander's eyes were softer. "You fought bravely," he said. Kesso swallowed hard. The door cracked. A long line of white-hot metal split down the center. Vorel raised his weapon. But before the door could fall, the device outside sent out a deep hum. The lights flickered. The floor shivered. All at once, every weapon in the alien's hands powered. Down the rifles went dark. The plasma blades lost their glow. "No," Kesso shouted, pressing buttons on his control panel. "They've disabled our systems." Vorel tried to reboot his rifle. Nothing happened. The door split open with a final groan. It fell inward, crashing to the floor, through the opening. The humans walked in, calm, silent, no weapons raised. Yet Vorel's soldiers tried to back away. But there was nowhere to go. The lead human stepped forward. In one smooth movement, he tapped his helmet. For the first time, a voice came directly from a human soldier. "Surrender." The voice was not loud. It was not angry. It was simply a statement of fact. Vorel felt his heart pound. He looked around. His men had no power, no weapons, no hope. But he raised his chin. "We will never," he began. The human lifted a hand. "Then this ends here." The humans aimed their weapons. For a moment, the room was completely silent. Then the red lights on the strange device began to blink faster. Vorel realized in that instant the device was not just a tool to disable them. It was something much worse. And there was no time left to stop it. Commander Vorel stared at the blinking red lights on the device. The humans stood around it, silent and unmoving. Their black armor shone under the emergency lights. Kesso gripped Vorel's shoulder. "Commander, what does it do?" Vorel swallowed. "I think it will erase everything." Kesso looked confused. "Everything? Our data? Our systems? Maybe even this base," Vorel said. The lead human lifted his weapon and aimed it at Vorel. "This is your final chance," the soldier said in a calm voice. "Surrender and evacuate." Vorel's soldiers looked at him with wide, frightened eyes. Their rifles were still useless, dead in their hands. Vorel thought of all the lives he was responsible for, his people, his duty, his honor. But as he watched the red lights blink faster and faster, he knew there was no hope of winning. He took a slow breath. "You can save them," Kesso whispered. Vorel closed his eyes for a moment. Then he nodded. He looked up at the human. "Soldier, we will evacuate," he said in a low voice. "But let us take our wounded." The human tilted his helmet slightly, as if listening to something only he could hear. Then he spoke. "Granted." The other humans lowered their weapons. Vorel turned to his soldiers. "Gather the wounded and move to the west hangar. Leave everything else." They rushed to obey. Some carried injured comrades on stretchers. Others helped limping soldiers. The humans watched them without a word. As the aliens left the control room, Vorel and Kesso were the last to go. Vorel paused in the doorway. He looked back one final time. The device's lights were blinking faster now. It's almost solid red. He knew this place would soon be nothing but ashes and silence. But he also knew that his people would survive. "At least for today," Kesso touched his arm. "Commander, we must go." Vorel nodded and stepped into the hall. The humans did not follow. They stood guard by the device, waiting. As the aliens moved down the corridor, Vorel spoke quietly to Kesso. "Do you understand what happened here?" Kesso shook his head. "No, Commander." "This was never just a battle," Vorel said. "It was a message." They reached the hangar where ships were already warming up. Engines glowed blue, ready to lift off. Vorel turned to look at the base one last time. A deep rumble shook the walls. Lights flickered and went dark. Far behind them, the device had activated. A wave of static rolled through every system, wiping records and memories clean. No alarms sounded. No explosions followed, only silence. The humans had taken the heart of the base and left nothing behind. Vorel climbed aboard the last ship. As the ramp closed, he knew this would not be the end. This was only the first step in something much larger, and somewhere in the dark corridors of the base, the humans stood in perfect formation, waiting for the next order. The alien ships lifted off from the hangar, engines roaring as they climbed into the stormy sky. Commander Vorel stood at the front window. Rain streaked down the glass, and smoke rose from the base below. Beside him, Kesso watched the ground disappear. His hands were still shaking. "They did not kill us," Kesso said softly. "They could have," Vorel nodded. "They wanted us alive." Why, Vorel's voice was flat. "So we could carry their message to the rest of the galaxy." Below, the base was quiet now. The red markings still glowed on every wall. The humans moved through the halls, placing more devices. Not a single word was spoken. The ship's pilot turned. "Commander, scans show no pursuit. The humans are withdrawing." Vorel frowned. "Withdrawing? Are you sure?" "Yes, sir." "They are not advancing further. They have taken the base and stopped." Vorel stared out the window. He could see black dots, human soldiers. Filing out of the main gates in perfect lines, they were moving back toward their landing craft, carrying their weapons and equipment. "Zoom in," Vorel ordered. The screen showed the humans walking calmly across the flooded courtyard. They left no wounded behind, no supplies. No signs of chaos. Every squad was perfectly organized. When the last soldier stepped onto a transport, the ramps closed. The ships lifted off into the sky without a single broadcast. No threat. No announcement. Vorel felt a cold emptiness in his chest. "They came in silence," he said. "And they leave the same way." Kesso swallowed. "Commander, what will the High Council say when they hear?" "They will understand," Vorel replied. "The humans have shown their power without destroying us. This is a warning." A rumble echoed through the clouds. Far below, the captured base began to collapse in slow waves. Walls fell inward. Towers crumbled. Kesso whispered, "They are erasing the place." "Yes," Vorel said quietly. "No records, no trophies, only memory." The pilot spoke again. "Commander, human ships are leaving orbit." Vorel closed his eyes. In that moment, he knew the humans did not care about territory. They cared about sending a message to every eye that watched. "We can come anywhere. We can take anything. When we leave, nothing remains." He turned to Kesso. "Transmit a report to the High Council," Vorel said. "Tell them the silent protocol is real." Kesso nodded. "And tell them," Vorel added, "this was only a demonstration." The ship climbed higher. The clouds parted, and behind them, the humans vanished into the stars, leaving only silence and fear behind. The alien fleet drifted through deep space, dark holes lit by distant suns. Commander Vorel stood in the main hall of the High Council chamber. Around him, the most powerful leaders of his people watched the recording. On the screen, the last moments of the battle played again, the silent humans moving through the halls. The red lights blinking on the device, the base collapsing into ruin. When the images ended, the hall was quiet. No one spoke. High Counselor Jaros finally leaned forward. His face was pale. "Commander Vorel," he said, "you are certain this was the work of the humans?" Vorel nodded. "Yes, Counselor. No other species fights this way." Jaros looked around at the council, "And you say they never spoke?" "They spoke only one word," Vorel said. A cold hush fell over the chamber. Another counselor, old and tired, cleared her throat. "And when you refused?" Vorel's eyes were heavy. "They erased everything." Kesso stepped forward beside him. He held a small data crystal. "This is all we have left," Kesso said. The humans left no trace of their attack. No code, no signature. Only this recording so we would remember. He placed the crystal on the central table. High Counselor Jaros looked at it as if it might burn him. And you believe this was a message? Vorel lifted his chin. Yes, Counselor. No. The humans could have destroyed us, but they chose to show us what comes next if we resist again. And what is that? Jaros asked softly. Vorel's voice was steady. Silence, he said. Complete, final silence. The counselors whispered among themselves. Fear filled the room like thick smoke. At last, Jaros stood. His eyes were hard. Send this recording to every allied world, he commanded. Let them see what happens when the humans go silent. One of the aides hesitated. Will this not cause panic? Jaros shook his head. Better they are afraid now, and destroyed later. Vorel felt a chill in his bones. He knew the humans were watching somewhere in the dark, waiting, and across the galaxy. The message spread. The humans have perfected war. They do not conquer with noise or rage. They conquer with silence. Ships carried the recording to every star system. Leaders watched it in secret chambers. Soldiers studied the footage and felt their courage shrink. On a distant human warship, an officer received a transmission. He listened to a voice on his headset. The demonstration is complete. He looked out at the swirling stars and gave a single nod. Understood. We await further instructions. The channel closed. No music. No celebration. Just the endless silence that always followed in the human's path. And from that day forward, every enemy knew when the humans stopped speaking. In battle, when they moved without a word, it meant the end had already begun.